the exercises we talked about in our women's community cycling night. So activation exercises before you get on the bike. You can stand on a curb or a 2x4 or anything like that before you go for your ride. And just work on, so this is the yoga block obviously, and just work on dropping your hip down, but standing tall through this leg and then lifting that hip back up. So 10 to 15 reps of those, up and down with a straight leg. Hold on here and then A-B duct without counterbalancing with your upper body. Okay, so same thing, about 10 to 12 reps here. You want to obviously do that on both sides. And then to work against the position that we're in when we're riding a bike, getting into a standing cat-cow. So an exhale to open up the chest, and then an inhale to bring the elbows together, spread the shoulder blades apart, and round that upper back with an inhale. Exhale to open up, inhale to close up. Good. So just 3 basic exercises that you can incorporate in. And the first one was a king deadlift. So we use the yoga block to kind of gauge your depth that you can go so you have something to reach for. So I'm going to hinge my hips back to put me in that posterior chain. I'm going to come right down. My belly is going to come towards my thigh, and then I'm going to press myself back up. I'm going to hinge forward, keeping a long spine though, not falling into curling up like a ball, and then back up. Good. And again, you want to start maybe kind of 10 to 12 to get your technique down, and then we'll talk about what to do from there. Okay, back of the body, so the ability to hold you up on the bike and not kind of falling into that collapse and falling into this posture in everyday life. You need to row. So I showed you a banded row. You can also do it standing tall like this. The goal would be to keep your elbows in tight and squeeze those shoulder blades together. You can also do it weighted. So this is a gorilla row, so I'm going to sit into this stance and I'm going to row both elbows down. So again, I'm in that nice hinge position, so I'm working on strengthening through all of those muscles in my upper back and getting time under tension there. Okay, next exercise was the split squat. And again, we talked about building resilience in our feet and ankles. So I can do this one body weight, or you can hold weight, obviously. So I'm going to get up onto my forefoot, into a split stance, and I'm going to go down, and I'm going to rotate over this front leg, and I'm going to stand back up. I'm going to try and stay up onto the ball of my foot, kind of like I'm wearing a high heel shoe. And if you want to add weight to it, you put weight in that opposite side, and you're going to rotate, over that front leg. Okay? So those are the 3 strength exercises. Starting out body weight, perfecting the technique, playing around with your tempos, so you can do things like holding in that bottom position of that king deadlift. You can also go into eccentric, slow, control down, so more time under tension, with the goal over time of decreasing the number of reps and increasing the amount of weight you're lifting, okay? Obviously that happens over a period of time though, and it's good to maybe have somebody, if you're not sure what that all means, to help you through it. Okay, so 2 core exercises. Again, there's 1,000,001 things you can do here, obviously, but the 2 that we talked about was transitional planks. So I'm going to start out in a front plank position with my palms down, okay? You can do this on your knees or you can be up on your toes, okay? I'll show you both versions. So I'm going to hover my elbow up. So now what everybody wants to do is this shift of their hip first. I'm going to engage through my obliques, and I'm going to rotate and come all the way over onto my side without separating my upper and lower body. So you don't want to come back down and then bring your hips. You want everything to come back down together. So if I'm on my knees, I'm going to hover the elbows still, keep my hips level, and then I'm going to rotate around, keep that knee down and up onto the foot, and then I'm going to come all the way back down. Okay? So, and with those I would do small number of reps with perfect technique. So aiming for like maybe 3 or 4 per side, and then taking a break. And then the last one is a star. So I'm going to go my arms and legs through the corners of the mat. My forehead is going to stay down the whole time. I'm going to think about trying to keep a blueberry under my belly. So I'm not sort of pushing my belly into the ground and going into a big low back arch. I'm going to just keep that
Nice lumbar position, and I'm gonna open up. So I'm working upper back, glutes, hamstrings, back of the body. I'm gonna tap, and then I'm gonna repeat. Tap, and repeat.
So I would say you want to work kind of in that 12 to 15 range for this one. And then we had questions about when you get off the bike. So your hip flexors, remember we talked about your hips only go through about 28% of their maximum range of motion when you're on a bike. So a really good rule of thumb is to do a little bit of hip flexor stretching at the end of your ride. So position would be here, reach, and then just a little bit of a side bend, and trying to get that stretched kind of through here and up through your belly. If you want to add your quad into it, you could take something, a box or a chair or something, and put your foot up on it, and then add that into the mix as well. Okay, so that would be one. The other one would be to do some extension, some T-spine extension, because again, we're in flexion on the bike. So from here, using your hands to bring yourself up into extension. So roll a marble away with your nose, and then pick your chest up and off, and do some repetitions of that. And I would say maybe 5 to 10. And you can also do the standing cat-cow again. And then the last one that I would say that's important for health of shoulders would be to open up your chest. So if you have a foam roller, it's a great way to do it because it puts you sort of a little bit elevated, and just focus on opening your chest up and letting your hands fall out to the side. So the stretch happens sort of to, again, go against what you typically feel when you're on a bike. And I would say for the hip extension stretch, like that hip flexor stretch and the chest, I like to see you do 5 breaths and try and make your breaths 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out as you're holding those positions. Okay? So just reach out if you have any questions about this, but thanks so much everyone, and it was a ton of fun.